Thursday, June the 1st, 2023. Pinch punch and all that. And wedged between train strikes and some overtime bans today, I've managed to get myself down to Stonegate, East Sussex, in the Weald, to re-walk a walk I last did in November 2009. So one of the very earliest ones that I recorded, but at the time it was recorded on the mobile phone, so massively in need of an update. So I thought I'd come down here today, risk it. 2-hour journey, and the trains are a little bit dubious, albeit that I managed to get here very successfully with no problems at all and on time. So it says a lot about the strike days, really, i.e. the service is better the day after than it is on a normal day. Got a bit of a breeze today, which is one downer. Might get some wind interference. Gusts up to 25 expected today, which is a bit of an issue for this camera, or possibly might be. There is a lot of woodland down this way, which is good. Might get away with it. And as forecast, the cloud is breaking up and we're going to have a sunny afternoon, supposedly. It's now 12:25. Got about 10 mile of walking, somewhere between 9.5 and 10 miles of walking. And I note from the walk notes there are a lot of issues on this walk, particularly on the comments page. People have walked down here recently, as recent as beginning of May, and noted a lot of mud, which is what you get on the Weald anyway. But I'm hoping the wind and the 3 weeks of relatively dry weather that we've had will have cleared that out. But let's see. And I'm also anticipating some possible cattle issues, because the Weald is notorious for cattle. Let's see how it pans out. Should be done by 6. Want to be on the 1/4 train or thereabouts. This line goes down to Hastings, which is a few stops on, so that gives you some idea where I am. And this particular station is one of those that's split. Platforms at different lengths. Stonegate station is now a residential property by the looks of it. And there we go. Some young calves here, separating from their parents, who appear to be in the field on my left. Now I do recognise this bit of the walk already, so I must have been here recently doing another Stonegate walk. And these bullocks are teenagers, not the parents. Anyway, do make me laugh, albeit that they are highly dubious, these cattle. Passing a large pond on my right, referred to in the text, which I am following initially, but I think today is going to be a combination of text and GPX track. Come off the track I've been on for a couple of 100 yards, passing through what looks to be cattle territory ahead of me, so that's a bloody good start, excuse my lingo. Indeed, got to go diagonally across this field according to the notes. There's plenty of calves in here with parents, could be dubious. Okay, I managed to avoid them by continuing up the chalky lane a couple of 100 yards and clambering over another gate and getting back on track. here. Passing another pond on my right with a decent vista in the distance. Now walking diagonally across this field of some form of buttercup and stalk. Now as you can see, this is the first little dyke I've encountered today, and it's pretty much dried out as I suspected after 3 weeks. So let's see what happens near point 5 of the text, I believe it was, where there was a serious mud issue recently. Very pleasant little woodland section here. Robin and blackbird singing, and the sun's now out, having just crossed that plank footbridge, which is a bit tricky to access, I must admit. And then you emerge into this cereal field where I've just seen a fox running off over there. Do a right here, and as you can already see, soil down here is starting to crack already. Decent view on my left. Slight jet noise in the background. An old relic here, rusting away in the woodland. Don't recall that from the previous 13 years ago, but if it was there, I likely would have filmed it. I can't remember. Lots of these little ponds around. Wonder how long they'll be full of water. Looks like they're already dropping as it is. Big reservoirs around here, probably drawing on them. Decent vista ahead of us with a church spire, I notice. Don't know if that'll be my lunchtime stop. I am aiming for lunch in Burwash, but I can't recall if it's the Burwash or the Burwash Weald. See how we go time wise and distance. First hosts of the day come into view as I walk down this recently shingled track. So some of the comments refer to the gate on the left here being missing, which it is, probably was here, but now no longer. So as the commenter did, I'm going to have to chance my arm here. And there is a yellow door here pointing me to the footpath, which is good, shows I'm on the right track. And it looks like they've resurfaced what was the path, so I just followed the resurfaced path, and hey ho, hopefully I'm back on track. Now apparently you don't go that way, which leads to the railway, so hopefully it's left here. And there is the railway embankment, which has been stripped of trees. What an eyesore that is. So I'm now next to the railway line, the embankment that I filmed earlier. Hopefully this is the right path. Views back over the newly cleared rail line. As I'm about to walk between these two posts into woodland. Now walking through the very decent woodland of Upper Collingtons, full of chiff chaffs, blackbirds, and a robin and a wren. Okay, that section where I said don't go over the stile towards the railway line, you do, clearly, and then do a left, and using the GPX track you're able to navigate yourself back on course, but it is a bit confusing, and as the notes say, it needs updating big time. There doesn't seem to be any yellow arrow on a tree ahead here, but I'm assuming downhill right as described otherwise in the text. And this section could indeed be a quagmire in the winter, wetter months. Not today. Perfect. Passing through a gorsey section now. Lovely hawthorn blossom still out, but on the wane. Yeah, another fox has just gone into that gorse thicket. Obviously the time when the mothers are having to venture out, I guess, and feed youngsters. Have to be a bit bolder. So here we go, along the top left hand edge of this field, over this stile. That'll be the second of the day, I believe. Decent view from up high, and I haven't recorded the height differentials today. Now interestingly, we do cross the rail line. The notes refer to a gap in the hedge, but it's actually a gate now. Continue on in the same direction. So there you have it, the dodgy stile certainly is. I think that's referred to in the notes as well. Just the two cattle in this field with a calf. And a load of noisy sheep as well. They're surprisingly bold, these ones. Followed me right up the field. Still, rather them than the cattle. Classic Wealden views here as I walk through the farmyard. £2 fine, eh? Wow. Now passing through a very narrow path, which has been maintained to a degree. Very low overhanging branches here, just ahead of a bridge ahead of me. Voila. And a rather dirty pond on the right, boat and all. Lovely aroma, freshly mown hay. And I'm pretty sure I've been here recently as well, because I was talking to a chap in his tractor. Yeah, I wonder what walk that was. Must have been a Roberts Bridge. I'll have to check that out. But this is definitely recognisable. Just 232 feet up here, surprisingly. Couple of 100 yards of dodgy road walking here, along an A road as well, which isn't ideal. So after navigating that busy section of road, as you can see, highly dubious that section, we enter Glebe Farm. So it looks like the path has been altered from the text here again, because that's the way it used to go. So as the comments page suggests, we do go through this field gate. This is now the suggested diversion. Go through the gate, do a right immediately, get back onto the GPX track. Corrugated barns just ahead of me there, and a big house behind me, and a cracking view ahead of us. Very different to when I last walked this, I seem to recall vaguely, back in November, although I certainly didn't encounter too much mud, if I recall. And today's ideal actually, with the wind coming once again from the northeast. It's funny how the northeast seems to be prevailing recently, not the southwest. And the big house there that I mentioned. Wonderful Wealden views. There are a number of seats here ahead of entry into the churchyard, but I'll continue, and they have a cracking view of the vale as well. Lovely solid church here. Wonderful. Don't know if I'll find a seat better than the ones I've just passed, so I might have to go back to them. Let's see. Yeah, here's the view from the church, almost at the entrance, where somebody's occupying a very decent position. So I'm 4.5 miles in, which is around halfway. So I'm going to take this bench here, dedicated to Graham Kemp, no relation to Martin, the Spandau boys. God rest your soul. And I'll try and get in the church after. Wonderful looking place. So as I say, it's about 2:30 now. Very slow pace today for some reason. It's not even muddy, can't even blame the mud. Just me getting old, I think. 3:15, lunch has been had. Let's see if I can get in the church now. Glorious. Yeah, there's Kirsty's seat again. I know I've been here recently. I'm going to have to check this out and see which walk it was. Could be I did this walk and didn't upload it. Bugging me now. Yeah. So here we are. I didn't come in the church last time, that's for sure. Some wonderful leaded windows here. Interesting piano stroke organ. And here's the main organ, I would imagine. Again, lovely leaded windows. And the view back. A children's corner but I haven't noticed a kitchen yet. Interesting bit of information here in the storm porch. £200 a day to run the church, eh? Thought it might have been more than that. So coming out of the church, immediately opposite you've got the Bell Inn, which remains closed as it was last time I recorded this place, and the old War Memorial. Parting shot of the church. Mr. Kipling here, who resided in Bateman's nearby, where we'll pass later. There's the Rose and Crown, the recommended lunchtime stop. And the blacksmith tea room. We take this public footpath after a row of terraced houses here. But I just wanted to capture the village sign shortly after. Entering National Trust property, and this is reminding me that I might have been down here and encountered cattle on their land. They're not the best at keeping bulls separate from the public, if I remember correctly. Wonderful view, which I do recall filming not so long ago, as I say. Certainly not in such good weather conditions, mind you. Yeah, that's a new symbol on me. And yes, I do recall this section. There were cattle on the left of this field, if I recall, with the electric fence there. Let's have a look. None today, it's been left to wild meadow. Lovely. And there are the beasts today, safely the other side of this electric fence. And that certainly knocks on the head the old adage about cattle sitting down when rain's coming, just taking a rest from the sun because they've got no tree to shelter under. Could go over there, I guess. Bateman's, Kipling's former home. Interesting. Couldn't focus on the bird. Just passing another oast house here. Then corner cottage. Where we go right. Just passing the pond here on my left at Bateman's, or corner cottage rather. Is a real contrast to those that walked this walk a few weeks ago. No mud at all at the minute. Rural crime team, eh? I've never seen any. Much needed though. Lovely red-headed long grass here. In fact, it's not a grass, is it? Through this kissing gate, apparently we enter Bog Wood, appropriately named from the muddy conditions underfoot, depending on the time of year you're here. Well, I can just smell the dying embers of ransoms here. Somehow I've missed them this year. Obviously I haven't been in the right woods. But yeah, around May, their time. Good idea. Cooling under the shade of these trees. It's around 16 degrees at the minute. Not massively warm, but in the sun it may well be. But this breeze is just keeping the heat off and making it a pleasant walking temperature. Wonderful views back at a point near Burwash Hill on the map. In fact, make that Burnt House Farm on the map. Don't know where I got that other name from. The invasive rhododendron is out. Irrespective of its attractive colours, still no friend of mine. Another section of busy road walking here, which I avoided by not going into Burwash Weald, because I knew this road would be too dodgy. So I just took the shortcut by the by Burnt House Farm, because I wasn't having tea in the tea stop there, and I'm now following this blue bridleway sign as opposed to the yellow footpath route up that way. Passing another oast house conversion here, and at this section this could be the quagmire described in the comments. It's passable at the moment, but I can imagine in the winter months and after rain it's a nightmare. Wonderful views out on my left here, given to us by the gap for a field gate. And as you can see, this could indeed be a horrendous encounter in the non-summer months. I think this section does stick in my memory from 2009 actually, because as I say I did it in November, and this bit may well have been a problem. I have to re-watch that old video. So I'm walking alongside Alder Wood here, self-explanatory, and this is Holton Lane, this old greenway or bridleway. Wonderfully peaceful in here, no jet noise, haven't seen a soul. I've only encountered a few people today, and that was near Bateman's house. There's a warning note there that I do not recognise. I think I'm going to have to get one of those apps that you can recognise bird songs with. A bit like Shazam for music, but you point it at the sound and it recognises the bird for you. And on that note, I have noticed that Google, the search engine, if you click the little camera symbol next to the microphone, they have a flower identifier. you do a scan of the flower and apparently it tells you what the flower is. So that might be useful for me if I can spare the time to use it. Another wonderful view, all the more so because the cattle are way down in the bottom of the field, all sunbathing again, whilst their water is up here in the shade, which is a good idea. God rest his soul, Reginald Frank Rimmer. As you can hear, the 1717 just pulling into Stonegate, or leaving it. I've got an hour to get the next one. I don't know if I'm going to make it. Well, the stiles collapsed here and there's a bit of a cockeyed gate in position. Another field of hay that's recently been mown, and I can just see the footbridge referred to in the text in that far corner. Crossing over this footbridge with a vineyard yonder. A wonderful blue. Is it a demoiselle? Fantastic blue though, electric blue. I always get my darters and dragonflies mixed up. But that's wonderful. Bit breezy for it today, I would have thought. But we are just crossing over this little brook dike. Well, it's actually a hop field. Wonderful. And here are some of the said hops. And a better section over here. Miles of them. Bit of road walking now, back to Stonegate station. Almost at Stonegate station now. Well, here we are back at the station, and I made that just under 11 miles, 10.9. Did go slightly astray at one point there. 4 hours 40. And once again, that was a very decent walk today. I can well understand people's comments about the muddy sections though. Luckily I didn't get one today. I never really walk in the Weald between the winter months. Simple as that really, because that's what you get. Try to save them for the sunny, drier days and you'll enjoy the walk better, that's for sure. I don't remember much of the original walk, so I can't really comment on the contrasts. I doubt very much has changed down here. Certainly some of the stiles look like they haven't been replaced since I walked them nearly 14 years ago. Some of them are in a dire state. What 3 words have been alerted on that one. So once again I promote what 3 words to report your footpath issues on. I did that last week in Norfolk, as you probably are aware, and the blockage on the path and the cattle, and it was dealt with in 48 hours, and that's in a county where they don't advertise an email address or a WhatsApp number to report on. So I had to really struggle to find an email address to send it to, but I did, and it was dealt with. So that's example number 4 now of what 3 words working for footpath reports. And also the RSPB acted on that dead kite. So there's 5 examples of how it works excellently in the countryside for reporting remote problems. And often the issues that are remote are the ones that need dealing with, more than the ones around the town edges, which is the ones, ironically, that the councils tend to focus on because it wins them votes. You know, the more there seem to be doing stuff near the towns, the more stuff will get done. Yet out in the remote areas where the serious walkers go, we have to struggle with overgrown vegetation, etc, etc. And they are the paths that really need attention. So that is book 2, walk number 19 completed. And I now seem to recall that the variant I did previously, relatively recently, was Stonegate to Robertsbridge, I think, because I went down to Bateman's and then turned back on myself, which I did slightly today, which is why I did a few extra 100 yards, and then realised that I'd done that Robertsbridge bit before, so I was about to undertake that walk again. No need. So that's a Stonegate Circular today, completed once again after 13.5 years. Incredible, eh? So let's see how the rail strikes allow me to walk next week. Till the next time.